Hi, I'm Lucas Jijichuk, and today I'll be talking to you about the Gyaru subculture. The term Gyaru comes from the Japanese pronunciation of the English word girl. It roughly translates to gal. It is a style made popular by famous Japanese singer Naomi Amuro in the mid-1990s. It is a fashion style for both girls and boys, but is based on feminine styles. Guys put a lot of effort into their hair, makeup, and clothes. The style is supposed to be fun and exciting, opposite of what they see the style of the older generation, whom they are actively trying to live their lives differently to. The most common color worn is black, followed by white, but that's not to say outfits are black or white overall. The most frequent material was cotton, followed by knits. Materials without patterns are preferred over those with because it makes accessories stand out more. The most common items are knee socks, followed by boots. Gyarus wear a variety of extravagant accessories, including hair clips, bracelets, and necklaces. The style is described as very wild, colorful, sexy, free, and young. The colorful hairstyle and layers of clothing and accessories exemplify how Gyarus wish to stand out and look different without losing their femininity. There have been different fashion trends or subgroups of Gyarus over the years. What is popular now becomes old-fashioned just a few years later. Prominent groups include Gyaru, first appearing in the mid-90s and was popular in the first few years of the 21st century. This is the Hollywood California girl with bronze tan and platinum blonde hair. La Manba, which includes more expensive designer clothes and accessories. Hime Gyaru, which aims to look like a cute fairy tale princess, wearing long curly hair and more refined or elegant dress types. Gosoori, which is Japanese abbreviation for Gothic Lolita. This style is derived from dolls of the Victorian age. Sarah Thornton identifies hipness, or the ability to be part of a scene or a culture, as a form of subcultural capital, which is an idea she drew from French sociologist Pierre Bourdieu in his book Distinction. Possessing subculture capital bestows status on the one possessing it by the other members of the subculture perceiving it. This can be a hairstyle or a collection of music albums. The term Gyaru refers to the first wave of high school girls belonging to the culture who incorporated their school uniforms into the style, spreading their street fashion in the mid-1990s. In contrast to their classmates, they adopted the image of social outsiders on the fringe of society. They would wear makeup and shorten their skirts, even when their school tried to prohibit it. Gyarus are not a single subculture, but many different subgroups of different styles, with the commonality that they wish to impress people with their extravagant fashion trends. This is their subcultural capital, namely their passion for fashion. Members of this subculture have been called the trendsetters of fashion. They are the leaders of youth street fashion. Their ideas often pass from the street into popular culture and high fashion. They are the authority in the matters of fashion taste for teenagers and young women. They became fashion icons in large part thanks to the importance and social value already attached to fashion in Japan. It is a country of innovation and knows how to profit from it. Because of Japan's leading economic position, Gyarus have an opportunity to continue their success abroad once they establish themselves in local fashion scenes. The subculture is rooted in young females and high school students, resisting the dominant culture's ideology of a woman's ideal physical appearance, as well as strict school rules and standards. The longevity of the subculture comes from young Gyarus growing up and becoming shop clerks in Gyaru shops. Young Gyarus look up to the older Gyarus, seeing them as big sisters who give out style recommendations. So the old part of the subculture, where crucial figures in changes and shifts in style we see in newer waves of the subculture. In this way, Gyarus maintain control over Gyaru fashion trends, specifically in how the subculture is commercialized. In subculture, the meaning of style, Headbridge presents the idea that subcultures are inherently resistant to dominant power structures, which is referred to as dominant culture. Certainly this is what we see in the Gyaru subculture, but a closer look reveals how romanticized Headbridge presents this idea. Using the Gyaru subculture as an example, we see this subculture reinforces its own hegemonic values. The subculture is powerful because it became the hegemony, not the other way around. What heptage overlooks is the agency of the individual members of a subculture. It is not just about visual or stylistic rebellion in unison, but an active expression of individuality which simply falls in a range of styles and symbology which together loosely represents a subversion of the way things used to be. Heptage presents hegemony as a rigid system of dominance. This is not the case. Hegemonic power absorbs and neutralizes subcultural resistance. Gyarus were originally the rebel kid in the back of the class, 10 years later are the epitome of fashion. It is a cycle of subculture, appropriation, and commercialization that undermines Hebridge's idea that subcultures have significant disruptive potential. The Gyaru substyle of Gyaru is aligned with the resistance against dominant standards but focuses on resisting foreign influence rather than Japanese dominant culture. It's a moment where Japan finds pride in its own domestic fashion rather than a style which originated overseas. As a subculture, Gyaru has various subgenres. As a subculture, it never dies down, rather moves to different stages signified by different styles. These transformations are a way to stay deviant or different from members of the subculture. As a particular subgenre gains too many followers and becomes normalized, we are far from the original theme of resistance through fashion innovations and adjustments, such as shorter skirts, to some greater hegemony. In Japanese fashion, this is now the dominant culture. Is this a subversion of hundreds of years of tradition, or merely an evolution of it? I think the problem with critical theories is its simplistic view of the world. It looks at things in a vacuum, disregarding the greater context things exist in. For example, Gyaru subculture is heavily commodified, while critical theory would paint this as capitalism's ability to absorb subversive elements. Members of the subculture are not there to resist capitalism or resist hegemony, but are participating as an exercise of self-expression. Critical theory fails to capture the nuances of commodification in this context because it does not understand why people are participating in the subculture. Furthermore, Hepted's idea of hegemony focuses on a Western view of class struggle, while the Gyaru subculture embodies globalization, drawing from Western and Eastern styles which critical theory fails to address, specifically how globalization and this cultural hybridity has shaped the Gyaru subculture. The Gyaru subculture has evolved over time and critical theory fails to address this fluidity too, portraying subcultures as fixed symbols of rebellion, or simply reducing a subculture's cultural significance to a singular moment of resistance. Critical theory is born out of Marxist theories, which are centered around resistance and political rebellion of the worker class, theories that have no practical merit. What we see within the Gyaru subculture is individual resistance, which transcends socio-economic divisions and collective resistance. Subcultures are not fixed symbols of rebellion but evolve over time, as we see with the subgenres of Gyaru subculture. Subcultures are about self-expression, identity formation, and participating in contemporary consumer culture. Critical theory entirely fails to fully capture this more individualistic, lifestyle-orientated form of subcultural participation. Thank you for your time today.